3530 BC, 365 AM or Annus Mundi. Canaan, son of Enosh, begins ruling the Adamites at age 40, ending Seth's reign of 195 years. Canaan is wise and knowledgeable, famous for his power over spirits and demons. He was troubled by premonitions of a future disaster, the drowning of the entire world. 1 Jasher 2:11. 349 BC or 396 AM. The Anunnaki planet Nibiru enters the inner solar system for the first time in human memory, emerging from southern space to begin its 60-year pass north of the ecliptic plane to finish its 792-year orbit. Nibiru is inhabited. 3481 BC or 41:4 AM. Planet Phoenix passes through the inner system 18 years after Nibiru passed over the ecliptic in the inner system. Both planets travel along the dark star's ecliptic between Venus and Earth. Phoenix continues on its 138-year orbit back into the Kuiper belt. This is the 49th year of the reign of Canaan. 3468 BC, 427 AM. Chinese traditional date of the birth of a prophet named Fu Ke, who foretold of the coming of a saviour. 1. This anachronism may refer to Enoch, who was born 195 years later. 1. The Secret Doctrine. 3439 BC, 456 AM. Nibiru completes its 792-year orbit after passing for 60 years over the ecliptic north of the Sun's position and passes dangerously close to Earth. The Jasher records reads, "And in the days of Enosh, the Lord caused the waters of the Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed a third part of the earth, and there was no food for the sons of men, and the famine was very great." In those days, 1. Hebrew tradition hold that there was many earthquakes, drought and famine in the days of Enosh. 2. And in the Jewish Haggadah text, we find that this flood in Enosh's day occurred before the famous flood of Noah. 3. The Yazidis of Asia preserve traditions of a flooding more ancient than Noah's, stating that the world was flooded twice, the second flood by far the worst. 4. Moses Maimonides wrote that in the days of Enosh, men began to build temples to the host of heaven, venerating the stars as deities, and the Old One, the Creator over time, was forgotten. 5. The worship of the Anunnaki from the stars, called watchers, is the theme of the older portions of the Book of Enoch. The Greeks remembered the Anunnaki as Anidoti, who were believed to have descended to Earth at 4 different times long ago, interacting with men. 6. The Holy Tablets, fragments borrowed from Sumerian and Babylonian texts, indicate that the Anunnaki were imprisoned on Nibiru, but were able to get to Earth after a 60-year period. 7. In the Book of Enoch, it was 200 watchers that came down to Earth. 8. And their leader, Azazel, was guilty of disclosing to the world of all the secret things which are done in the heavens. 9. Zechariah Sitchin remarks in his The Wars of Gods and Men that Sumerian texts over and over refer to a starting point in the chronicles of the Anunnaki that began 432,000 years before the deluge. Sitchin cites a text excavated from the ruins of Sumer concerning the descent of a god named Enki to Earth at that time, which reads, "When I approached Earth, there was much flooding." 10. Sitchin's research confirms this 3439 BC date as the descent of the Anunnaki to Earth. In his End of Days book, he relates that the Sumerian writings claim that the Anunnaki appeared on Earth when Nibiru orbited close to our planet 432,000 years before the Great Flood. 11. But this 432,000 years is a mistranslation, commonly done with ancient Near East texts, for these are not 432,000 years, but 432,000 days, precisely 1200 years of 360 days each. As seen in this chronology, the Great Flood date is fixed by the Phoenix orbit and is exactly 1200 years before this descent of the Anunnaki in 3439 BC. In Hamlet's Mill by Giorgio di Santillana and Hertha von Dechend, we see that the number of 432,000 seems to be where science and myth merge, this number significant in the mythological systems around the world. 12.